Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Bahrain goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Borman and Bonnar, but Borman's got the inside.
Literally a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin to lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening everyone and welcome back to the PSGL YouTube channel for round number 2 of this PC Championship. Last time out we went to Brazil for an enthralling season opener which ended up with Mirko Soriano taking an incredible victory over Jack West. But tonight we leave South America to take them to the barren desert of Sakir, Bahrain, who will come out on top here tonight at one of F1's most exciting tracks on the calendar. We will find out very shortly. My name is Dan Field, and tonight, as always, I'm being joined by Nathan Richards. Nathan, how are you doing this evening?
Hello, Dan. It's great to be back for round 2. And I'd say it's, we're at Bahrain, one of the tracks where I think, it's kind of one of those standard tracks like Silverstone, Brazil. Every league runs Bahrain every single season. So it's, it's not an uncommon appearance to be here at Bahrain, but I think, as usual, it's always a great track to drive at. And I'm really excited to see what the drivers can bring out tonight. Yeah,
absolutely. It is a very fun one this evening. But of course, we'll talk before we head into this one about last race in Brazil. That was a fantastic event that you just had to be there, honestly. If you haven't already, please make sure you do check that one out after, of course, you've watched this stream this evening. But Nathan, if this race is anything like this, both of our voice boxes are going to be very sore after tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I think coming over the back of last week, if we can get something which is half of what we saw then, this will be a great Grand Prix. We've got a few drivers who aren't making an appearance today, unfortunately, but they've got all reserves put back into place, so we will have all drivers. So yeah, again, I think it's going to be a great contest. Obviously, we saw last week how close these drivers can be on track, especially in qualifying at the end of the race, and at the end of the race as well. So I think, I think there's no reason why this can't be another great Grand Prix to here at PSGL.
No, absolutely, and just talking about some of the reserve drivers, we've got Joseph Loke replacing Tamas Gow in the Red Bull this evening. Matthew Alder is replacing Jona Martins in the Ferrari. Rishan Jacobs coming back in once again, this time in Williams, replacing Sergio Sobrino, and Jack West also racing again in place of Yannick Schmidt, also in the Williams. So the big name there, I think, is Jack West, of course, taking P2 last time out by like 18 thousandths of a second, I think the gap was. It was incredibly close between himself and Mirko Soriano, right to the line in the end. And I definitely think that if he's racing here, well, he is racing here tonight, but he could definitely put up a fight with some of the big guns.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a shame Jack is a reserve, because I think after what we've seen in Brazil, if he can keep that up, he will be a championship contender for sure. I think there is a chance he'll race in pretty much all the races. Obviously, there'll always be reasons why people can't make it full time, but it is a shame he can't put himself in that guaranteed spot, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And if he does keep turning up, and guys, they don't come to races, and Jack's always available, I definitely think that he should, get that seat over them, because he should be scoring points for these constructors. He was racing in Williams last time, and they missed out on a bunch of points because Jack was only a reserve, and of course the reserve drivers do not take points for their team, unfortunately. I can see we've got all 20 drivers in the lobby at the minute. I will just quickly bring us over to the game scene so you can look at all the teams in the Red Bull. It's Joseph Loke and Ben Oconi. Ferrari's Soriano and Alder. Mercedes, Flores Viers and Max Wiesel. Then Alpine is Timo Zelenkovic and Andrei Tarabukin. McLaren is Legend Rosenberg and Harvey Cohen. Then Alfa Romeo is Daniel Koya and Tycho Hardy. Aston Martin, Duncan Hoffland and Jan Halliday. And then Haas is Zander van Dijken and Joost Noordijk. Alpha Tauri, Szymon Lukomski, I think I'm saying that name right, hopefully. We didn't see him last week in Brazil alongside Kamil Stakura, and voice chat suspended. Lovely job play. Williams then last up is Rishan Jacobs and Jack West. So Nathan, this grid still as fantastic as ever.
Yeah, definitely. One team I want to keep my eye on today is Mercedes. Obviously, Flores and Max, coming into this, I thought they'd be two of the drivers at the top of the grid, but in Brazil, they didn't have the best outing. Flores ended up having an issue with someone at turn 4 after his pit stop. He did get a penalty for that as well post-race. And Max just didn't have much pace at all evening. So I'm intrigued to see what they can do tonight. I think, I was very surprised to see them finishing where they did. I think there was something like 12th and 14th, which is not respectful at all with their pace. They are always, normally at the top of their game, but Brazil, they just wasn't. So I want them to do well tonight. And also another one, a person I want to keep my eye on is Matthew Alder. I haven't seen him race at all, really, in this game so far. So it's very interesting to see what he can do today. Yeah,
Matthew Alder, of course, the name I'm very familiar with, all the way back on the PlayStation platform in season 2028 or something. I think he was there in PS F1, now on the PC, racing in F2. He was one of the drivers with the brightest futures at the time, and I'm really hoping that he can sort of regain that and get himself back on the map, because of course when CRG was around, he was sort of one of their main guys at that point. And ever since then, he was in Parnell, and then I'm not really sure what else he's been up to recently. So I'm really hoping Matthew Alder has a strong performance this evening. But if you couldn't hear by the beeping noise in your ears, we are about to get ready for qualifying in this one. It is, of course, the 18-minute one-session qualifying. So it is going to be who is fastest by the end of it. We will join you trackside here in Bahrain after a quick word from our sponsors at GT Omega. Welcome back, everyone. Trackside here in PSGL, getting ready for the start of qualifying. You can see the lovely dark sky up ahead, but the floodlights illuminating this circuit as all the drivers in the paddock come out onto the circuit. We'll see who is first out of the blocks. It's looking like one of the Haas cars. I'm just trying to find the logo. It will be Zander van Dijken first out this evening.
Yeah, Zander van Dijken obviously had pole sitter in round 1, so it'd be nice if he could get himself a back-to-back pole. Is that possible? I don't know, because this track is a lot different to Brazil, so it might be good for him. It might be a really bad track for him, but obviously we'll see when we come to the latter stages of qualifying. But he's definitely one I think we should be looking at, of doing well, getting himself in that top 5 in quali. And looking for the grid, again, it's really close, like we said before. So I think at this point, anyone could be within that top 10. And I was watching a bit of the F3 and F4 stream from F5 stream from earlier on. And yeah, again, the times there were really close. I think the top 2 in F3 were separated by about 30 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredibly close in those grids, and I'm expecting much the same here tonight in PC F2. If you remember last week in qualifying, Zander van Dijken ended up taking pole position, but that did not lead to a race win. He did have a lot of troubles, and there was a bunch of commotion that it was so hard to keep track of. I'm really hoping that Zander van Dijken, he has a little bit more of a calmer race, for the sake of him, for the sake of a spectator point of view. I mean, I'm hoping this is one of the most chaotic Bahrain Grand Prix we ever see, and it's going to be incredible to witness. A Ferrari has overtaken Zander, and it is Mirko Soriano, winner from last week. If I remember correctly, didn't have the best qualifying of all, but he certainly did make up for it in the Grand Prix.
Yeah, I think he qualified 6th or 5th or something, so definitely wasn't the best at all, but he really, made that race pace work, and it could have been the fact he had a setup built for the race rather than qualifying, but either way, he did a great job to work his way up, and I think this time if he could start in the top 3, maybe that can make his winning chances even higher.
Absolutely, we'll see what he can do then for his first attempt at a lap here in Bahrain as he approaches turn number 1. We'll get the telemetry up on your screen so you can see how fast he is at the braking zone. It's going to be 201 miles per hour down into third, early on the power as soon as possible, cut back over in towards the left and then right of the curbs ever so slightly through turn number 3. Open up the DRS, take the uphill climb in towards turn number 4, the pinnacle of this circuit leading in towards the second sector. It's all downhill from here as he approaches turn number 5, will ride on board with the Ferrari, dancing his way in through the lefts and rights of this second sector, and then heavy braking in towards the hairpin at turn number 8. Very easy to lock up through here, but Marco Soriano facing no such issues. Off the exit now and in towards 9 and 10. You want to take turn number 9 as straight as possible so you don't lock up in towards this next left. Seen a lot of people like to drift through there. Mirko Soriano not so much as he approaches turn at number 11, but at the minute, Nathan, this looks like a very nice lap from Mirko.
Yes, it is. The first couple of sets you could see a lot of drifting, which unfortunately is quite the norm around this track. A lot of drifting to required, especially down at turns 1 and 8. But he comes through now in towards turns 13 and 14. Very nice from him through there. You can see just sticking it in 4th gear through there, not being too eager on shifting up too early. As he heads down this final back straight in towards the final couple of corners. And I think it's turn 6 in the last corner, but it's literally not a corner. It's more of a just kink to the right. You can see him go through there. Not really much of a corner. Rides the curb on the exit. As he heads up towards the line, it will be the first lap time of the session. What will it be for Mirko? It's a 27.561, a very good lap time there to start off. And I think Xander van Dijken, 3/10 off though with a point 0.805.
Yes, so no one really coming close to Mirko Soriano thus far. Kamil Stakura about 300ths off of him. Joost Noordijk goes ahead of his teammate by about 0.2 of a second. There's Max Wiesel returning to form after a poor Brazilian Grand Prix. He gets himself provisionally in P1 with a 1 minute 27.481. We'll see who's up next towards the line. It looks like it's going to be a Williams. I'm wondering if that is Jack West. It's actually the other one of Rishan Jacobs filling in for Sergio Sobrino tonight. And it's only P8 for the time being, a 1 minute 27.7. Lekomsky goes in towards P5, just behind his teammate by 1,000th of a second. Up next then is going to be Harvey Cohen towards the line, then Jack West just in behind him. It's only P12 for Harvey, slowest of them all so far. Jack West, the second man to get into the 1 minute 27.4s, just about, 15,000th off of the back of Max Wiesel at the minute. As Floris Weiss come across the line into P7, got 2 Aston Martin's up next. Duncan Hoffman's found himself in 12th. That's not been setting the world alight so far this season. Jan Haladej, unfortunately, worse off than his teammate. That is P14 for the Aston Martin driver. We'll check in on everyone else. Matthew Alder seems to be going slow on this lap. Ben Jabakonyi is on a run, as is Tarabukin and Zelenkovic. They are the only 4 drivers without a lap time at the minute.
Yeah, I noticed it seems like the lap times, surprisingly, there's quite a big space, about 4/10 between P1 and P16, which is quite rare to see at this level of, at least level of racing. But I guess it's what we get welcomed with today, as Ben Sabakoni pops himself into the top 10 barely with a 0.686. We've still got a few lap times to come through. I think the next one across the line will be Andrei Tarabukin. Oh, he gets blocked there by the McLaren, and it sends him round. So that'll be. Well, it looks like whoever that McLaren was, it should be some sort of slam dunk penalty for sure, as that was a clear block coming through turns 12. Zelenkovic's teammate in the other Alpine comes through turn 12 very nicely. He comes out at turn 13, back on the power, and he'll be heading down this final little straight before he heads up to the line. But yeah, at the moment, I'm quite surprised to see the likes of Harvey and Jan and Xander all on 0.8. I think they'd be a lot closer near that top 10, top 5. So obviously they've got to think of something in the next part of the lap. Next part of their session as Zelenkovic into 17th at a 0.849. It seems like the times are getting worse as the session's progressing. We saw a few people get the 0.4s and 0.5s, and after that, the times were in the 0.7s and 0.8s.
We can see the gap to leader on your screen. The gap between the top 2, 14,000th of a second, and then look at how close it is in around that 4th to 7th position. You know, it's incredibly tight between those guys. Kamil Stakura and Szymon Lekomski, teammates AlphaTauri. The Polish duo separated by just 1,000th of a second. Then it does sort of tail off ever so slightly again from 8th until about 10th, very close there, but then it does eventually begin to tail off. But speaking, I'd say for a track that's a lot longer than Brazil was last week, we're not expecting, of course, the closest times in the world, but to be 17th in Timur Zelenkovic and only be just over 3.5 tenths off of pole position, I'd say that is a very good effort from him. Harvey Cohen also in 18th position, just 3 thousandths off the back of the Alpine, so not too sure it's looking all that bad in qualifying, and I think as the session goes on, there's more tyre grip being laid down onto the circuit. It is definitely going to make for a much better end to this session.
Yeah, Xander Van Dijken's currently on an 8 lap heading down to turns 10 in a bit of a different sync to everyone else completely. Sitting down in 14th, gone out a bit early, so wants to try something a bit different to the others as we look through. But still, Jack West at the top, that's where he wants to be in that P2 position. That's, good for him to try and put himself to, try and take that championship lead off Mirko Soriano. But we know Mirko in the race is very quick, so I'm sure he'll have no problem trying to get through on Jack and Max. But, it's nice to see Max back on form, up at the top at the moment. I'm sure he'll keep himself in that top 5, surely, even at the end of qualifying, if he can't get himself a decent run in at the end. But it's definitely better starting than 13th, that's for sure.
Yeah, Max Wiesel really did struggle last time out in Brazil. A poor qualifying and then a poor result in the race. I think he was involved in an incident somewhere along the road, so he just wants to put that one behind him and come to Bahrain with a fresh mind, and I think he's done that thus far. Currently sitting on provisional pole position with a 1 minute 27.481 as Xander Van Dijken gets his lap underway. We'll see if he can challenge Max Wiesel. Both of these guys formerly on the PlayStation platform, now moving over onto the PC as Xander Van Dijken approaches turn number 1. A few cars have come out just ahead of him, 2 Red Bulls and 2 Alfa Romeos, but I do think they're going to do their best to get out of the way of the charging Haas in behind as he approaches turn number 4 at the peak of this circuit. Very forgiving corner because there's a lot of runoff off the exit through here. No mistake being made for Xander Van Dijken as he touches the curb on the inside, then darts over to the right, swings it back left and gets the run wide through turn number 7. Heavy braking into 8 once again off the exit now. The Red Bull gets out of the way and now he's going to have no traffic whatsoever. We've only seen one sort of impeding issue between Andre Tarabukin and one of the McLarens as Xander Van Dijken slides his way a little bit too much off the exit of turn number 10. He completely runs awry off the circuit, and I think that's his lap going to be in the bin.
Yeah, big shame for Xander because he was down in the first sector, but that second sector he looked like he had a big improvement, especially coming out at turn 8. But then yet again, he was too eager on the power, and that's the issue you kind of have around it. It's very easy just to get on the power a bit too early, and it's very hard to correct it, especially when you're running, compared to some tracks, quite low wings. So it's a big shame for Xander, but he's got more chances. I think there's about 6 or 7 minutes left 8 minutes left of the session, so he's got more time to get back into the pits and go again, or if he wants to, he can go again if he's got enough fuel on this run. But next to cross the line, I believe, to start lap will be Daniel Coy coming out of the final corner, sitting currently in 16th with a 27.848. Would like to improve that, and he only needs to get 3/10 to get himself into that top 3. So if he can just nail this lap, maybe not push too hard, just push enough to get himself some improvements around the lap, and he should be able to get himself a decent qualifying position as he comes down into turn 1. Obviously, they're hard braking into that first corner. He comes through early on the throttle through turns 2 and 3, just riding that curb through there as you get the DRS yet again in that second activation zone down in towards turn 4. You want to brake just before that 50-meter board, throw the car in down to 4th gear, keep it to that inside, then you want to ride the curb on the exit. You head down now in towards turn 6 and 7. This bit of a slalom chicane section. He's up purple in that first sector with a 49,000 improvement now as he comes down into the heavy braking zone of turn 8. Just keeps the car to the inside, then you want to go wide on the exit to get yourself nice on the power as you head down now in towards the run in towards turns 9 and 10. Want to brake straight so you don't lock up the rears, and there Daniel does a great job. Has a bit of a rear slide though coming into that corner, but it doesn't harm him too much now as he gets the DRS back open to head down this back straight in towards turn 11. Want to brake around the 50-meter board here as you just throw the car in down to 4th gear, back on the power nice and as you ride wide on the exit so you can get yourself a nice entry in towards turns 12 now. Just keep the car to the inside, ride that curb a little bit, same on the exit. He's up by 3/10 now. That is a great lap for Daniel if he can keep this in this final sector, looking to put himself in that top 5 now as he heads down this final straight in towards the final couple of corners at turns, I believe 14 and 15. Just on a break at the 100-meter board, throw the car in, keep it in 4th on the exit, ride the curbs as you come out of that corner now with the DRS very shortly before you have that short run up to line. What will it be for Daniel? It'll be a 27.539 into the top 3.
Yeah, very nice effort from him there. We've got a few more cars coming across the line. One of the Red Bulls of Ben Jabberconny gets himself onto the second row, just ahead of Daniel Coyer. Joseph Loke, I believe, will be the next one up to cross the line. Then it will be Tycho Hardy just in behind him. So we'll see what Joseph Loke can do. A lot of real-life experience in this Red Bull at the minute. He comes across the line, does improve ever so slightly, but he doesn't get himself up any positions. Tycho Hardy slots himself in towards P8. We've got one of the McLarens of Legend Rosenberg, again improving, but no positions gained as Max Wiesel extends his advantage at the top of the order with a 1 minute 27.373. Harvey Cohen up next across the line. He's slightly down in the second sector. He's made up for it though in sector 3 and puts himself on to into the 14th. Mirko Soriano towards the line. He goes ahead of Max Wiesel by 4 thousandths of a second. A statement there from the Ferrari. Never mind, it was actually Floris Vyers who's come across the line to put himself exactly level between himself and Mirko Soriano. Incredibly close margins here in PSGL PC F2. Duncan Hoffland to the line. It's P5 for him. We'll see where Matthew Older is in that final sector as he finally hooked up a lap. We'll see what he can do as he comes across the line. It's going to be only P16 for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, the two LPs sitting down at the bottom of the field, 19th and 20th. Team Zelenkiewicz now exiting the final corner. We'll see what he can do as he heads up to the line. His teammate goes into the pits. Teammate goes to the line. It will be only P15 with a 27.666 there, just splitting the Ferraris of Legend and Harvey. But still a big shame for Alpine, considering they had a decent race. Well, especially Andre in that first race. He qualified, I think, in that top 5 and finished in 3rd. Today he's currently sitting down in 20th. He had an issue on that first run with the blocking from one of the front of the McLarens. I think it was Legend. Then on his second run, I think he invalidated because he did just dive back into the pits. So big shame for Andre, considering he had such a good result in that first round. But Team Zelenkiewicz, he qualified well, had that incident with Floris. It did drop him down quite a bit. I think he would have finished somewhere in that top 6, top 7 range. But yet again today, currently sitting in 15th. You know, around a track like this, you do not want to start in that bottom 5 at all.
No, I mean, this track is pretty notorious, unfortunately, for DRS trains that just form and then everyone follows around each other along this circuit, and it is pretty difficult to overtake at some point. I do apologise for the sort of raspiness in my voice. I'm still, believe it or not, I'm still recovering from this cough that I've had. So, yeah, massive apologies there. I'll try and get some water in between now and the race, but with just 4 minutes left to go, I think now is a good time to sort of call who is going to be taking pole position and such. Of course, Mirko Soriano and Floris Vyers level pegging at the minute. P1 and P2, 1 minute 27.369 is the time to beat. Nathan, who's going to be taking pole?
I'm going to say Max Wiesel. I think he had the first great couple of laps, and I think, you know, realistically, he needs 6 thousandths to beat Mirko and Floris. I think, you know, anyone on the track, surely he can find himself, you know, 6 tenths of a second. Maybe he can find even more, but I'm going to go for Max. I think he deserves it after that poor round in Brazil. I think it's his time to shine here in Bahrain.
Okay, so Nathan Richards saying Max Wiesel taking pole position. I might go for a little bit of a boring option, and I'll go with Floris taking pole position ahead of Mirko Soriano. I'm getting a question from George Nader saying, Dan, mate, why are we on Mirko's in lap? I'm not too sure. It was someone on a lap there? I thought everyone was just coming into the pit lane, honestly.
Yeah, everyone was coming into the pits to start shortly their final laps.
Okay, well, we do have a few guys coming out on circuit at the minute. Ben Jabrakoni and Andrei Tarabukin. We know that Jabrakoni does like to come out a little bit earlier, and I think this is very clever from Andrei Tarabukin. He's most likely fueled up that car for 2 laps, and he's come out a little bit earlier, so just in case anything goes wrong, he'll have that second little banker lap there to fall back on. That second chance to fall back on, then go for it once again.
Yeah. But yeah, you've got a lot more people coming out now with about just under 3 minutes to go. Well, just over 2 minutes to go now. As obviously everyone's going to come out, get ready for their final runs of the session. And yeah, I'm looking in the chat. Yona Martin says Camel for pole. You've said Floris. I've said Max. No one is going for the man on pole currently, which is Mirko Soriano. Now he's going to prove us all wrong. And here it is, the 5 players group penalty. So we will have a restart afterwards.
Well, Max, he does need to actually clip that, I believe, just in case there was actually some instance of illegal blocking. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but just for sort of that precaution, he is going to need to give that one out there, and then we will get a restart most likely at this point. But with just 1.5 minutes left to go in qualifying, I really don't know how my voice is going to be keeping up. I'm coughing in between laps here, so I do apologise about that. We'll see what everyone else is saying in the live chat. Yona Martins coming back to say Mirko P2. Then Alex MCF saying Merc 1-2. I don't care the order. That's definitely an interesting shout. Floris Vyers or Max Wiesel, both of them in a strong position at the minute. I think both of them, they definitely have very good chance of starting 1 and 2.
Yeah, as we come down now into turn 1 with Ben Sabakonya beginning his final lap of the session. He's currently 9th his team there in 12th. That was a big different story to what we saw in Brazil with, I believe they was both in that top 4. So, yeah, definitely both Red Bulls want to improve on their lap times currently. We've got Bence with the 5.02 and Joseph with the 5.87. Surely they can find a couple of tenths in their laps. So you can see Ben Sabakonyi's only 1,000 behind Simon Okomsky in 8th. So, there's not much improvement needed for him to get himself a few positions, as he was actually up by 36 thousandths in that first sector as he comes down in towards turn 8. Now got to get back early on the power in gear 3, move all the way up the gears now as he heads down in towards turns 9 and 10. And we've got many more people starting their laps. A lot of traffic down at the final couple of corners, but I don't think it will affect Bence, as he's the first one on track on a qualifying lap, and surely by the time he gets to turn 14, everyone will get themselves on their flying laps. You can see now everyone overtaking each other. This could be quite interesting at the final corner.
You can see then what Ben Sabakonyi can do, as everyone is stacking themselves up through turn number 14 and 15. Hopefully we're not going to get another illegal blocking penalty, but as Ben Sabakonyi comes through the second sector split, he's only up by 15 thousandths of a second. The clock is about to strike 0. Is Flores Fires going to get to the line in time? I don't think he has. That is detrimental to his qualifying. Flores Fires has not made it, so he's not going to get that lap in. He is going to be starting at best in P2. Sabakonyi then up towards the line. We'll see what he can do in that Red Bull. A 1 minute 27.430. And Nathan, you're gonna have to take this finish because I'm dying here.
But no worries, Dad. But now we've got many people coming through now into their final runs. As I believe that was Richard Jacobs or Jack West, who takes pole position with a 3.56 there, just a bit ahead of Mirko Soriano. More laps coming through. Jan Halliday up into 13th. Mirko Soriano's heading through this middle sector now. Cars all behind and all ahead, so this could be getting a bit messy if people make mess ups on their lap. Max Wiesel's up by just over a 10th. In that middle sector now as he's heading out the final corner. Can he try and take that provisional pole from Jack West now as he heads up to line? What will it be for Max Wiesel? It will be pole with the 27.214, which is over a 10th quicker than Jack West. And we've got Xander Van Dijken off the track. Legend Rosenberg goes into P2 ahead of Jack West. We've got Mirko Soriano now coming through in towards turns 13 and 14, and we'll see what he can do as he heads down this back straight. We've got Lukowski into 6th, Theo Snordog into 7th. What can Campbell Satchero do? He goes up into that top 3. Mirko Soriano, one of the few left to come through to set his lap. I think Harvey Cohen also come up to the line as well. Where does he go? He puts himself into 17th, but what can Mirko do up to the line? It will be P5. It doesn't improve. He's still got times coming through. I think that was Tygo Hardy up into 13th. Joseph Loke into the top 11, and Xander Van Dijken made a mistake on his lap, and the pole sitter from round 1 starts P20 today.
That is not a good qualifying session from Xander Van Dijken, unfortunately, but it is Max Wiesel on pole position. A fantastic lap from the German driver, and that is definitely redemption for what happened in Brazil, as we're just waiting for the end of this session. You can see how close these gaps are. We should hopefully be getting a restart in this one, because at the minute we have got Max Wiesel taking a 5-place grid penalty, but you can see how clear he is of everyone else. Only Legend Rosenberg was able to get within a 10th of Wiesel. Kamil Stakura then, a very impressive qualifying from him in P3 ahead of Jack West in P4. Soriano rounding out the top 5, and Flores Fires, his time was good enough to still keep him in that 6th position. Szymon Lukumski into P7, then 8th for Nordyke. 9th is Sabakonyi, and rounding out the top 10 is Rishan Jacobs. You can see the rest on your screen. I'm not going to try to list it all out because I am not going to be able to talk afterwards, but that brings us to the end of qualifying. We'll get into the race very shortly once we get this sort of grid issue sorted. I'm going to look in the Discord now. Nathan, do we have confirmation we're getting a restart?
We do, yeah, because he got an illegal pen. So unfortunately, I'm the host, so I've got to do all of this. But yeah, we should get underway pretty shortly. We'll get the restart done, get everyone in, then we'll sort out the grid, and then we'll get straight into the Grand Prix. But the qualifying there, the ending was great. I was getting mixed up with who was who, everyone crossing line all at the same time. But still, unfortunate for Flores, who, well, it was either the fact he got blocked on his outlap, or he just couldn't get that. He just can't keep it enough, was he?
And unfortunately, he paid the price for that. He just missed out by 1 second, and I really am sorry, everyone, about what's happening to my voice, because I can't speak at the minute. Oh my, Nathan, I'm dying here.
Well, please don't die on me. It wouldn't be a good look for PSGL either, and it wouldn't be good for me having to take this all by myself. So sticking with us, Stan.
I'll try. I'll try my best.
No.
And people might be saying, go get some water or something. I've already drank it all because I've just needed it the whole time. So it's really not going well for me. I need to take a break or something. I think, maybe I'm not too sure what's going to happen from this point onwards. But we do have a little bit of time, so maybe I can recover in this short break period. But Max Wiesel, fantastic pole lap from him.
Yep, and the lobby's open, so we're going to try and get everyone in. I'm sorry if I end up not kind of listening to what you're saying or trying to sort the lobby, speak to you. Everything's going crazy at the moment. But yeah, it's chaotic as always here at PSGL.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. I'll quickly just bring up the end of qualifying results on my other screen here, so I can just list out the last 10 the last 10 drivers that I missed out on. So it is in P11, Joseph Loke, then Andre Tarabukin starts in 12th, Duncan Hoffland in 13th, then Tycho Hardy is in 14th, Timur Zelenkovic in 15th, 16th is Daniel Coy, Jan Halliday in 17th, 18th is Harvey Cohen, Matthew Alder struggling in his first race this season in 19th, and then Xander Van Dyken rounding out the grid from pole in Brazil to last place here in Bahrain. Xander Van Dyken's a very unpredictable character at the minute.
Yeah, I think it's a big shame for Xander, but then also it's been a different story for Max Wiesel, who's got himself onto that top spot. So there's many changes coming out of Brazil to Bahrain. Now, is that due to maybe the practiced more or less, or do you think it could be to do with the track, with it being a completely different track to Brazil? It's a longer lap. I'd say arguably a harder lap because the braking have done really, really difficult. So it could be a matter of the skill on the track as well, because obviously some drivers they'll be rapid at one track, but others they could be really lacking pace.
Yeah, it can be very volatile, especially if you're practicing one track a lot more than the other. You know, drivers typically tend to gravitate towards doing tracks they enjoy. Maybe Xander does not like Bahrain, so maybe didn't practice as hard. And unfortunately, he's paying the price for that. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how it all works out in the race. And Nathan, I do apologise here. I think just for a minute I'm going to step away so I can go fill up some water. So I actually live to the end of this stream.
Well, do what you need to do, Dan. Make sure you got yourself prepared. Yeah, you're alone with me for a few minutes. I'm going to be a bit dull because I'm trying to sort the lobby out at the moment. Everyone's joining in, and then we can hopefully get underway shortly. It's been a bit of a chaotic start, that is to say the least. But we'll get it all sorted no matter what. We'll get underway shortly. I think we got near enough everyone in. Just going to wait for a couple more drivers to pop themselves into the lobby. We've got Max Wiesel in. I think we'll wait for one more, which is Jack West, and then we have everyone in. But coming out of qualifying as well with Legend Rosenberg being in second, that's yet again another great result from him. Didn't have the best result out in Brazil, but today looking to try and make amends for that. And there we are, we've got 19 drivers in. We're waiting for one more, which is one of the Ferraris, which is Mirko Soriano. And then once he gets in, we can sort out the lobby, and it's yeah, we're just waiting for him to get in, and then we can hopefully get underway. So I'm just trying to look through, get everyone sorted into their grid spots, because obviously we had that illegal penalty for Max Wiesel in qualifying, which obviously due to the game being a bit of a idiot, I suppose we could say, and giving stupid penalties out for no reason. So it's time to sort the grid. I'm going to have to do the quickest grid sort I have ever done in my life so we can get everyone underway very shortly. But obviously, as I look through, Max Wiesel is starting on pole, which is a great job from him.
Yeah, absolutely. Max Wiesel, he's I am really happy for him because Max Wiesel is a name that I've been very familiar with for quite a long time. Of course, being back on the on the PlayStation platform, I'm not too sure if he was in sort of the bigger leagues when I was around there, but kicking it about in PSGL F1. But he's a name that I've known for a long time, and I am very pleased that he's done well this evening.
Yeah, and I think he'll continue to do so in the race as well. We know he's great in the race pace, he's great in qualifying. So, and I believe as well, if I'm correct, Max Wiesel was previously an actual real racer in, I think, was it some Super Formula BMW, I think it's called.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that about him. I know that...
Because he's got his own Wikipedia.
Does he?
Yeah. I searched up the other day because I didn't realise he was actually 33 years old.
Yeah, I know he's one of the older drivers on the grid. I think his profile picture is a PSGL graphic of him winning, and it's got like a face-app old man image on him. So I knew he was one of the older drivers, but I didn't know he actually had a history in racing. I know that Joseph Loke is an active racer, and I think he was in British F4. Yeah. So a lot of racing experience.
I thought he was in GB3. I thought he was in.
I have no
I'm
idea.
not quite sure, but I thought it was that. But there's that many people, right? To be fair, we do have quite a lot of people that race in real life. We've obviously had people from esports as well. I think was it Chen moved over to F2, didn't he, last year?
He did, and Jana Watmir, he raced in Renault Renault something. I don't know. I think he used to do
Renault Formula Renault.
Formula Renault. That's it. And he used to race alongside like Mick Schumacher in karting and stuff.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
Wasn't aware of that.
I think he's got a clip on his YouTube of them having a crash together. It's quite funny. Sorry, I was wrong. It is GB3 that he's in currently at the minute. He's in the title fight. Is Joseph Loke, but I do remember him being in F4, British F4 at some point. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not too sure there, but yeah, incredible racing heritage that we have on the PSGL PC to F2 grid. I mean, you learn something new every day. I didn't know about Max Wiesel there.
Normally, I didn't know until last week. I learned until the last one about it. But just so I know I got the grid right, I'm going to read through the order for qualifying. So we have Max Wiesel on pole, followed by Legend Rosenberg, Kamil Sasha, Jack West, Mirko Soriano, Floris Wires, Simon Lukomsky, Joost Noordijk, Ben Sabakonyi, Richard Jacobs in the top 10. Then we have Joseph Loke, Andrei Tarabukin, Duncan Hoffland, Tycho Hardy, Tima Zelenkovic, Daniel Koya, Jan Halliday, Harvey Cohen, Matthew Older, and Xander Van Dyke, which I believe is all correct. We'll confirm the changes to that, and then I believe now we actually get to go underway.
Finally, I mean, it seems like quite often we have to deal with a restart. Hopefully, these illegal blocking glitches, they do get patched at some point, but I'm not too sure if it is actually a glitch, because these guys are just stopping on circuit in front of each other. Maybe it needs to be adjusted for like an outlap or something, because you can't really block someone on an outlap, so I'm not too sure how it all works out in the end, but yeah, it is very annoying to have to deal with.
And also, Joseph Loke has decided to give us a notice in the in the Discord chat, saying, if you are side by side with me, don't expect to live.
I laughed a bit too hard there. I started coughing on the microphone. I do apologise. I wonder what that means. I wonder if he's lagging or something, or maybe he just intends...
lag.
Let's hope. But, maybe it's just him saying that he's going to race very aggressively, and in that case, if that is how it is, we're in for a very interesting fight here today.
Yep, and there we are. Everyone's catered down. We're getting ready for the race. And fingers crossed, everything in the settings is right. If it's not, I'm going to get murdered by a lot of people. So yeah, hopefully everything's good as we shortly get underway for the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yep, absolutely. And Nathan, of course, you've set up the lobby, and I always get caught out by this. Do we have the formation lap on?
No.
Okay, so we're going to get straight into the action. So I think just to be safe, I'm going to take us away from the intermission scene, put us in the game scene now.
Because it just likes to hit us whenever, doesn't it? It doesn't let us know we're starting. It just starts whenever. And Dan, are you all right again? You seem to be done on the other end.
So if I'm aware of it coming, I get to mute myself on OBS. So I apologise for your ears, but I do save the audience some coughing. It is happening pretty much every time I finish speaking. So yeah, today might be a little bit more of a low key one for me.
Yeah, but we're still waiting for players as the countdown does. Well, hopefully we can get a countdown on the screen. We did on last game, but this game it's a complete different story because EA, they will fix one thing, of course, make the game better in so many ways, but they will also then make it worse in so many other ways. As obviously we saw something about the fuel not being fully equal. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on anything I say, but apparently the fuel isn't equal. I don't think it's as big an issue though as a tyre wear, which is a good thing.
That's really all I'm asking for, just it doesn't have to be the perfect game in the world, it doesn't have to look the prettiest or have all the newest bells and whistles, it just needs to function. And there's some fundamental things, like having fuel be equal. I don't know how that slips past them in development, it's like, not too sure. But yeah, here we are then, getting ready for the start of this race. We have 5 red lights in Bahrain. And we are underway, and it looks to be a good start from Max V. So I think Legend Rosenberg got a little bit bogged down off the launch there, as Kamil Stakura is going to try challenge him in towards turn 1. But Max Wiesel being able to clear the McLaren as they approach the first corner. Stakura looking to go around the outside of Legend Rosenberg. No room at the end for him there. And Jack West going to try and slip on through on the inside of turn 3. They're going to hit the run down in towards turn 4. Will Mirko Soriano try and make this one stick? Maybe 3 wide on the inside. Floris Vires getting his elbows out very early. A little bit of contact further back behind as they all make it through the first sector very nice and cleanly. It has been a perfect getaway for Max Wiesel in this one, Nathan.
He's looking further down. Benson McConney got himself through on Joost Noordijk, looking to get himself on Flores. So Flores goes from up the inside of Lukomski, down into turn 8, gets to the inside manoeuvre. I think he might make it work, but they're banging wheels as they come up the hill in towards turns 9 and 10. And Flores does get himself up into that top 6 position now. So obviously starting to make amends from that lap 1 incident he had. And many people all filing through in towards turns 9 and 10. Side by side, that's I believe Richard Jacobs off the circuit having a bit of a contact there with Harvey Cohn as they come down now. And also Zelenkovic trying to make that move into P14 as we head down in towards turn 11. Rishan does stay ahead. Team will just try to send it back up the inside but can't do so. But importantly at the top, Max Wiesel 1.4 seconds ahead of Legend Rosenberg. I'm trying to see if they're on different tyres. Yes, I am. Max Wiesel on the soft.
Well, yeah, I forgot about that. The soft tyres working out very nicely indeed for him. Harvey Cohn, the only other driver on that set, and that could explain why he's gone up 5 positions. He's going to make that 6 as he goes up the inside of Joseph Loke in towards the final braking zone as Joost Noordijk look to have a scrap with Flores Vise. They head down in towards turn 1. They're going to emerge from the fog, all weaving their way down in towards the first corner. Jack West further up the road also trying to make a move on Legend Rosenberg. There's Duncan Hoffman trying to make a move on Simon Lukomski as there goes Jack West into P2 trying to track down the charging Mercedes at the front of the order. Lukomski getting himself ahead of Flores Vise, who's lost 2 positions so far in this race. He's trying to recover lost ground as he goes up the inside in towards turn number 4, makes that move stick very nicely indeed as Duncan Hoffman having a scrap with Andrei Tarabukin. In comes Harvey Cohen! Harvey Cohen, he's spun around, something's happened to him. Andrei Tarabukin into a spin at the beginning of the second sector. Oh dear, it's just pandemonium at this point. Andrei Tarabukin, he's had a terrible day so far.
As he's looking down at turn 8, we've got everyone going side by side. Richard and Daniel and T were all involved in this little battle down for P. This is down all the way to P11. As we head in there, Daniel go for a bit of an inside manoeuvre there on Richard and can't make it work. We've got Zelenkovic going wide after he gets overtaken there by Tygo Hardy. We've also got Xander Van Dijken putting himself up into 16th place as we head down into turn 11. But this is absolute chaos on the first lap of Bahrain. You don't normally see this much side-by-side action around here, but it has been absolutely chaos as now Legend Rosenberg's been overtaken by Jack West, put himself into P2. There's a 2.4 second gap between Max and Jack, and also in a couple of laps ago there was an incident with Ben Samakoni. He broke way too late, and there was about 3 or 4 drivers all involved in an incident down at the final couple of corners at this right-hander down. I believe this is turn 14. Max Wiesel takes the fastest lap of 31.1, and it seems for now it seems to have calmed down, but the DRS is open this lap. As we now head down to turn 1, there won't be DRS on the run down to turn 1, but there will be on the run down to turn 4. Xander Van Dijken gaining on Tygo Hardy, and they're also both gaining on Timo Zelenkovic in towards turn 1. It will be late braking for Xander, takes the inside line. That's also, I think that might have been Tygo Hardy getting, yeah, he got forced off the track, goes onto the grass, completely cuts it. They make even more contact as they come out, and this is absolute chaos now. Down into turn 4, Matthew Alder trying to make something work.
Oh my god, Matthew Alder capitalising on that, makes up multiple positions in towards turn number 4, runs a little bit deep on the brakes, and now Zelenkovic going to look to go back up the inside in towards turn number 5 and 6. Matthew Alder on the outside decides to give way to the inside, and that allows for Zelenkovic to recover that lost position, as now Tygo Hardy also going up the inside of the Ferrari in towards turn number 8. Can he make that move stick? It looks like Matthew Alder going to be able to stay ahead for the time being, as we're going to look towards the front of the order. It's Kamil Stakura getting close to the rear of Legend Rosenberg up towards turn 1, but I think the DRS has greatly helped out Legend in this race because he's been able to hold on to that P3 ahead of the Alpha Tauri. Looking just behind, I think Kamil Stakura is going to have to actually peek towards his mirrors because there's a charging championship leader of Suriano just in behind, 3/10 to the rear of Kamil Stakura, and I think with the DRS, if he uses some of his battery, the Ferrari could be charging on by his Zelenko. No, that's Legend Rosenberg. Something's happened with him there, and Jack West is ghosting through him in towards turn 1. They go. Jack West does not have any DRS. That's going to allow for Legend Rosenberg to just out-drag him in towards the corner, but now can West go back up the inside in towards the braking zone? Looks like he's going to stay back for the time being.
What happened there? They must have made some sort of collision maybe, and they ghosted inside each other. That was an odd one from Jack. I thought for a second that he ended up getting disconnected from the session, which would have not been ideal. As you can see there, he completely lets off into turn 4 behind Legend. So the gap now to Max is 3.5 seconds. If there's a safety car, this might not be very good for Max, but at this point in the race, this is perfect. Having a 3.6 second gap, he's going to have to take those soft tyres quite long, but if he can make this gap work now, if he can get the gap to about 4 or 5 seconds by the time his tyres are 6-7 laps old, when his tyres start to die off, he'll still have that big buffer to the others behind. So as long as he can just keep his pace and just keep pushing, there's no reason why he can't make this really, really work for him. Obviously, we saw in the last game, I think the hard stuff was also a strategy that worked, which on 22, seeing anything apart from the mediums and hards was rare. So obviously the soft tires, you know, are known to work well around here. As we head down into turn 11, you can still see Jack West not eager at all to get past Legend Rosenberg, because effectively now they're battling for P2, not P1, so you might as well just stick behind Legend and just keep that DRS as also. I believe that was Tycho Hardy getting through on Jan Halliday. That was down at the exit of turn 11 as we head through turn 12. Flores Fires also arguing with Joost Noordijk, who actually goes wide, so that could have been due to an incident, or he could have just gone a little bit wide on the exit of turn 13 as we head down now in towards turns 14 and 15. Joost Noordijk having a bit of a rear lock up there on the back of Forest Wise as I head down now towards turn 1. Loke getting ahead of Simon Lekomsky. That was down at turn 14 and 15 as well. And as we head down to turn 1, Jack West, is he trying to get through on Legend? Yes, he is. Does he get through on Legend? I think he does. Then to turn 1, Jack West now into that top 2 spot as also Camel looking to get on Legend, but just not close enough to make a move into turn 1.
Nice move up the inside for Jack West. Legend Rosenberg didn't really fight that one back all too much. He's going to be able to get DRS, but I think he's going to be happy just to sit in behind the Williams car at the minute. We'll have a quick check on the ERS situations of all the drivers. Max Wiesel at the front of the order, who's really been pushing in this race. He's only got 37% in that Mercedes. Jack West with a healthy 68. Legend Rosenberg even more with 87 in his McLaren. Similar to Kamil Stakura, Mirko Soriano, not a drop used. He's got 100% in the back of his Ferrari at his disposal to go for a move at any opportunity. I think the same cannot be said, unfortunately, for Flores Fires or Joost Noordijk. So at the minute, it seems like the advantage well and truly within Mirko Soriano's court at the minute. It's just a matter of when and where he decides to go for a move.
Well, the issue is once you're in this DRS train, which everyone down to 19th is in from second, it's really hard to make yourself a move because everyone's got that advantage of DRS. So it basically makes it so there is no advantage because everyone's just pulling themselves on. So it's going to be hard for Mirko to make a move. The only way he can make a move now in this race is by, in this first stint at least, is by making a move in the corner. You're not going to get anyone on the straight unless they have a really bad exit. So the best thing to do is just try and close up to someone in a corner and just try and send yourself into maybe somewhere like turn 8 or turn 10. I think that's his best opportunity. As also that was, I think Flores was getting very close to the back of Mirko as they head down this back straight in towards turn 1. Flores gaining, but you can see with this DRS advantage for them ahead, it does nothing, so Flores has to stick behind as they go into turn 1. There was also Kemmel getting very close to the back of Joseph Loke, sends it on Joost Noordijk. Joost goes a little bit deep, all then he'll make contact coming out of turn 3 now. Joseph and Joost side by side as they head up to turn 4, and I think Joseph might just have this as he's got that inside line, which is always a better line going into this corner, and I think Joseph just about stay ahead.
Joost Noordijk wise to back out there because Joseph Loke, I mean, he said before the race, if you're side by side with me, you're going to die, and that almost was the case. I mean, through turn number 3, they did have a little bit of a wheel bang there, but they were both able to survive, and Joost Noordijk, he'll live to tell that tale at the end of this Grand Prix on lap number 6 of 29. The front of the order, it looks like Max Wiesel's advantage firmly staying at that 3-second range, and if these guys are just DRSing off each other and start to push, we've got yellow flags. It's Harvey Cohen unfortunately going for a spin at turn number 8. It's not been a good day for him whatsoever. He's on the complete wrong strategy, and unfortunately with that incident earlier, all the progress that he made on the soft tyres was just undone for him, so it really has not gone Harvey Cohen's way whatsoever. But in towards now turn number 13, the lead train is still running. I think everyone is within DRS range of each other in that main pack. So first down in towards 18th, Andrei Tarabukin of course still recovering from that incident earlier on, and Harvey Cohen just way off the pace at the minute. So far, Nathan, it's been a relatively clean Grand Prix, but I wonder once the pit stops begin to sort of trickle in, that's when we're going to see some dangerous moves being made as Legend Rosenberg closes in towards turn number 1. No moves being made at the start of this lap, but I do think that Timo Zelinkovic might have just gotten by on Xander Van Dyken.
Yeah, Xander lost the DRS going out at turn 13. He was 1.4 seconds back. He just got passed by Timo really easily down towards turn 1. And now it's Timo's job to get himself back into that DRS of Daniel and the others' heads, which I think he can do in this middle centre. There's no DRS until turn 10, and the DRS down there in towards turn 11 isn't the best. So I think as long as he can just nail this part of the track and also the final sector, as long as he can get in that DRS before turn 15, he should be relatively safe. Now as we head down in towards turn 8 with Timo, he's already got that gap down to about 1.2 seconds, so only a couple of tenths he needs to gain now to get himself back into that 1 second gap. As Xander Van Dyken's starting to drop off slightly, he's 7.5 tenths back, and Xander, it seems he hasn't had much pace at all. In qualifying, he qualified 20th in the race. He made some moves due to always making mistakes, but he hasn't really been on much pace. He's 8 tenths back from Timo, just in that first, just in about half a lap. So it's not at all good for Xander Van Dok. He's got a lot of work to do. He needs to stick in this DRS. If he can do so with that, he should be safe. But also Matthew Alder nearly dropping outside that 1 second as well to Xander Van Dok, and he's just sitting 8.5 tenths back as they come through in towards the end of this middle sector now. As we head down out of there in towards turns 14 and 15, and still that gap for Max is dropping. It's 2.2 seconds to Jack West at this moment. Max isn't in the best position, I don't think, unless he pits soon. But then if he pits now, he's got to take his hard tyres 20 laps.
Yeah, I'm just not too sure if it really is the best strategy for Max Wiesel. He's done well to get up further ahead. As you can see, everyone getting very close in towards turn number 1. No moves being made, but Legend Rosenberg certainly getting very racy to the rear of the Welshman in the Williams. As more yellow flags as Harvey Cohen go for a spin off the exit of turn number 15, as he'll add to his yellow flags so far this evening. Joseph Lowe getting close to the back of Floris Vyers, who is struggling to keep pace with the top 5 at the minute, almost out of that DRS range of 1 second. Maybe he's not pushing at the minute, and then the 4 guys just ahead of him are going ahead. The 4 guys just ahead of him, they're starting to push. He's really being caught out at the minute. Harvey Cohen, first penalty of the day. And Joseph Lowe, he's not happy that Floris is losing pace, so maybe in towards turn number 1 or 2, if he's got the ERS to do something. Unfortunately, he does not. He could try go for a move. Legend Rosenberg once again getting close to the back of Jack West, and they're all fighting in this top 10 position, but no one's going for the move, and I think they just want to sit behind their rivals and save the tyres, save the battery as long as possible.
Yeah, I think there's only 2 drivers at the moment that could go for a move. That could be Mirko Soriano, as he's always close to the back of Kamil Sasha, and also Joseph Flo. You can see now Flo is still 8 tenths back. Joseph only 2 behind, so surely he might use a little bit more of that ERS and down to turn 1 just to get himself through, because he wants to keep himself with that train. If Flo drops out to 1 second to Mirko, this might not be good at all for Joseph, so he needs to use that advantage he's got now. He's using that DRS. Does he use any ERS? No, he doesn't, but Legend Rosenberg does get past Jack West into turn 1 to put himself into that P2 spot, and also Staher again in there, make a bit of contact as they come through. Jack West going deep. Joseph Lowe gets through and Floris Wise, and all this chaos now happening on lap 9 and 29 down to turn 1. So the order has changed with Legend in second, Jack in third, and then we have Joseph and Floris swapping for 6th and 7th.
At the minute, it's just looking like these guys, they don't want to fight too hard. They want to be in that ideal position, because Jack Westy moved back behind us. Mirko Soriano, very unorthodox position to make an overtake in towards turn number 5. He makes the move down the inside of Kamil Sasha. I don't think that the Polish man was expecting that move whatsoever from the championship leader. In towards lap number 9 they go. And I was just saying, they want to sit in these positions as long as possible, and then all of a sudden Mirko Soriano is going up the inside, but I just don't think these guys, they have the resources at the minute to make these moves. Legend Rosenberg, he's done well to save his battery. Jack West, he's definitely struggling at this point. Soriano's doing a fantastic job of saving his ERS Sakura as well, but then the likes of Loke, likes of Floris and Yost, all these guys, they're all struggling with their ERS management, and so they can't sort of break in to that top 5 position, and so they are being hampered by that aspect in this race. However, Joseph Loki is certainly feeling very racy at the minute. He's got by on Floris Vyers, and now Kamil Sasha. He's definitely struggling for pace in his AlphaTauri. I'm wondering, is the Red Bull going to go for the move? Floris Vyers has a slight moment off the exit of turn number 15. Will we see anyone try and dive up the inside in towards his first corner as they approach turn number 1? I don't believe we're going to see any moves this time by on lap number 10 of 29. We'll see how this race continues out, but Nathan, not feeling that we're too far away from the pit stops. Maybe about 6, 7, 8 laps we're going to see these hard runners come in.
Yeah, I think we'll see the pit stop probably around lap 15, 16, but remember, Joseph is a key point to talk about, because he did say in the Discord chat before the race he had no practice at all. He said, I think he said he did a couple of sessions just to, so he's not useless, but at the moment he's probably one of the quickest on track. He's already right on the back of Kamil Sasha trying to get himself through. He got straight through on Floris Vyers as well, and Floris is keeping just with him, but just not enough to get himself back through. But Joseph's having a great run, but now you can see that gap with Max, because of all this battling, we've had Xander Van Dok out of the session, which is a big shame. But Max, that gap now, he went from being at 2.1 back up to about 3 seconds. So all this battling is really good for Max, because he can start to just bring that lead back slower and slower. It could be the fact maybe he stopped pushing, maybe to save his times, but at the moment this is working really well, and this battle for lead for Max, it's going up and down, it's changing constantly. But I think it's definitely a hard one to call with this strategy, because he needs to pit onto the hards, which means, yes, he'll be slower than the others on the mediums when they pit to there, but I think it's hard to call what will happen and what the right strategy is.
I'm wondering, Nathan, Nathan, if Legend Rosenberg is just slower than Jack West at this point, I know as Joseph Loke off the exit at turn number 15 and gets the move on Kamil Stakura. However, Stakura goes for the move off the exit. I cut in on myself as now they head in towards turn number 1. Loke looking to the inside of the AlphaTauri. Can he break later? Possibly in towards the corner they go. Little bit of contact off the exit at turn number 1, but all is fair in racing, and he gets the move done on Kamil, who is just beginning to slip back in this Grand Prix. Now Floris Vyers taking advantage of the weakened AlphaTauri, and I think Joost Noordijk is going to go for a move up the inside. They're 3 wide. That's so close to contact. Unfortunately, oh my word, they're all spinning across each other. Joost Noordijk sent into a full spin. Now Floris Vyers and Duncan Hoffman having a scrap as it's just all gone wrong. Joost Noordijk look up the inside, and then all of a sudden Floris Vyers had 2 cars to the right of him, and he's just had to, they've just made contact. I saw a similar move a few weeks ago, and I think WOR, but unfortunately it's just worked. It's happened once again. They've just sort of fallen over each other, and it's ended up in Joost Noordijk being sent into a spin, and now a massive rift being caused in this field. Now the top 5, 2.8 seconds ahead of 6th place downwards.
Yeah, luckily I got the aerial view at turn 4 so I could see what happened. It just seemed like Kamil just ignored the fact Joost was there. He just turned in. It was like, okay, you're not there, I'm just going to take my normal line. So I'm not sure what Kamil was thinking when he did that, but he did it, and it ended up in Floris being spun round. The ghosting didn't affect for Floris, so then he effectively got spun back round by Joost. Then Joost got tapped again by one of the AlphaTauris. That spun him round, so it was just all a bit of a chain effect into turbo, which is a big shame. And Floris yet again involved in another incident. This time it wasn't his fault.
It's really been a tough start to the season for Floris Vyers. Luckily, he is still in a relatively decent position. He's in P7 for the time being, and if he can get by on Szymon Lekomski, maybe he can force his way back up the field and make some time up in some clear air. We're seeing a fantastic fight at the front of the order as Soriano is trying to find a way through on Jack West, but West is doing a great job of defending that position from the Ferrari behind him. And in all of this, they are catching Max Wiesel. It's now 2 seconds, 2.1 to the back of the Mercedes, who's doing an incredible job of maintaining these tyres. He's going to get a massive undercut on these drivers, and I think Max Wiesel has got a mega chance of winning this race as Harvey Cohen has spun somehow on the straight. I do not know what is going wrong for him in that McLaren, but it's just not been a good race whatsoever. Luckily, we have seen Xander Van Dyken as well join back into the lobby. Hopefully he can get back in that car, and we can see him for the rest of this race. But on lap number 12, it's definitely been a bit of a dirty one today, I do have to admit.
It has, but Harvey, big show to see him trying to take the skill of Nicholas Latifi. He spins around again, gets a bit of damage this time hitting the one on the exit at turn 14 and 15. This isn't good at all for Harvey. I hope a safety car doesn't get caused or anything, but he's heading back into the pits. He's got a puncture. That's why. He's got a puncture. Oh, and that's it. Oh, that was close. Max was landed in the pits, and Harvey blocking the pit lane completely. He moved out the way, luckily, but Harvey needs to get back into them pits and get himself a new set of tyres, otherwise this could end very badly.
Yeah, I don't know why he hasn't pitted already. I mean, he's just spinning around as Jack West, he makes a move up the inside. Now he leads this race ahead of Legend Rosenberg. Harvey Cohen does finally retire. It is over for him this evening. Max Wiesel, very bold strategy call to go onto the medium tyres on lap number 13 of 29. He's got to do more than half of this Grand Prix on that set, and it is just about going to be doable, I would say. I mean, these hard tyres have gone a comfortable 13 laps in this race. They can go a lot longer. I think later on, when you're lighter on fuel, you're putting less wear into the tyres. Those mediums, they can survive to the end.
Yeah, well, I can see Yona in the chat, and Yona's always a great person to speak to when it comes to strategy. So, Yona, if you can hear us, do you think this could work for Max Wiesel pitting onto the mediums on lap 13?
I wonder if it does. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, we're almost at the halfway point of this Grand Prix. I think it's going to be next time by that we are halfway through, as Harvey Cohen's McLaren is now off the circuit. We shouldn't see too many yellow flags in this race, as at the moment the top 4 just breaking away from the pack still. Szymon Lekomski struggling for pace ahead of Floris Vyers and Duncan Hoffman. He's got 2 really big Dutch names in behind him, then his teammate in 8th position. I'm wondering if Floris and Duncan, maybe they're going to think about a potential move up the inside and try and catch up to these guys, but at this point, Nathan, they just don't want to fight.
Yeah, definitely not. But I think that's probably the best thing to do. I think they know from what we've seen with most of the battles so far, it's ended badly for one person, so maybe limiting that fighting limits the contact. So it means we won't have people spinning around left, right, and centre. But I think once we come out of the pit stop stage, that is when we'll see more overtakes. Actually, Ben Sabakony looking for a move on Richard Jacobs into turn 1, but he backs off, so Richard just keeps himself into that top 9, nearly hits the back of Kamal Sashra. And Jonas says it's a stretch. It might not be the fastest, but Max has a good pace, so we could pull it off. So this could be an interesting ending with Max Wiesel obviously on these medium tyres, and also Joost Noordijk now onto a set of mediums as well. So I think now a few more laps till we see the likes of Jack, Legend and Mirko pick for some mediums, and also Joseph Loke into the top 4.
Joseph Loke, he's done a good job of avoiding that accident that happened a few laps ago, and he's kept with the top guys, which I think is the key thing here. So once they all pit, Max Wiesel will be ahead of them, and he'll be back in P5, but it's still a very good job from him so far this evening. Let's have a little think about who has made up the most places in this Grand Prix. Joseph Loke up 7. He is the biggest mover so far this Grand Prix. Duncan Hoffland up 6 as well. It's been a good day for him at the office, and Daniel Koyer as well up for 5 places. Sorry, I can't read at the minute. Matthew Older and Xander Van Dyken, they've also made up a few places, but I think that is just because everyone else behind them has crashed, and so they've been able to get up the order. Shout out to Jack West as well, up 3 places and leading this Grand Prix. As we look at the front of the order, you can see Mirko Soriano getting very close to the back of Legend Rosenberg, and off the exit of the final corner, he is on the back of the episode 5. He's lifted off now. Legend Rosenberg going to be able to clear him heading in towards turn number 1. But I think that Mirko Soriano, he might be the fastest in this train as Floris Vyers comes into the pit lane.
Yeah, so Floris obviously wanted to get himself out that train. The undercut we know is very powerful in this game, so this could work for Floris. Obviously, if he's pitting 2 or 3 laps earlier, the only issue he has at that point is people behind him being faster. There's also a battle with Rishan and Ben Sabakony now down to turn, I believe this is turn 4, yes it is. Ben's got ahead of Rishan. I think he went a bit deep. Rishan got back ahead and Ben just couldn't put himself back ahead of Rishan. But this is a great battle for P8 and 9 at the moment between these two. And obviously Daniel now catch up to the back behind as well. He's having a very decent race, as we already spoke about, moving up 5-6 positions. But obviously another person who's having a great race is definitely Legend Rosenberg. He finished 9th in the last race in Brazil. So even if he could finish P2 or P3, that would be great for him in his championship. Obviously Legend, we know, was coming from PlayStation on the last couple of games. He was one of the fastest along with Tygo Hardy. So, he should be one where, he should be a driver that is at the top of this level.
Absolutely, and I do just love how competitive this grid is and how everyone's had a different background. We've got drivers who have been a part of league racing for a long time, but on different platforms. The likes of Jack West and I think Joseph Loke and a few other guys, Harvey Cohen as well. They've come up from the Xbox side of things, and the likes of Legend Rosenberg, Mirko Soriano, Duncan Hoffland, Joost Noordijk. So many guys have come from PlayStation. Then we've got the esports heritage of Floris Vyers on the grid, and so many other different backgrounds, and I love how it's all culminated onto this F2 grid as we are now past the halfway point of this race. Kamil Stakura going to come into the pit lane. Just looking at the gap between Max Wiesel and Floris Vyers, 9.4 seconds is the gap between the two Mercedes teammates. Of course, that was maybe, I'm not too sure if actually Max Wiesel's gained all that much on Floris at this point in the race. He gets by on Andrei Tarabukin in towards the first corner. Catching this traffic is definitely going to do a lot more harm than good to Max Wiesel, but at least Nathan, he's putting a few cars between himself and the rest of the grid, as Joost Noordijk, now the fastest man out on circuit, he sets the fastest lap.
Yeah, I think it's also another person to talk about, Harvey Cohen. It's a big shame for him because he also DNF'd in the first race. I believe he went into the bits and DNF, so Harvey having a double DNF in the first 2 rounds. Harvey was one I was looking for and thinking, he could be one for the championship, but he's not had much of an impression on anyone at the start of this season, which is a big shame for him. Obviously, he was, I believe, one of the quickest in Xbox. I think he, if I'm correct, and he did win challenges, didn't he, in last year? This year for challenges on Xbox. So it's a shame to see him at the bottom in both races, but obviously there's still another, I think, 9 rounds to go, so he's got more chances. But at the moment, the chances of him doing something, for that championship, he's getting further and further away as we look back at the top of the field, and still it's Jack West ahead of Legend, ahead of Mirko, ahead of Joseph Loke, and still the Comps obviously having that. There was a big kerfuffle with Floris, Camille, Simon, all on that. Then at turn 4, and still he's 3 seconds back, but he's going to pit. So this could help him with a bit of an advantage ahead of Joseph, Legend, and Jack, as also Mirko Soriano heads into the pits as well for a set of medium tyres. And also, Dan, I think we failed to mention, we could see people pitting onto softs as well.
It definitely is an option, and when we saw Max Wiesel have decent pace on the soft tyres for 12 laps in this Grand Prix, So it is definitely a viable option to come in for a set. Maybe if you extend a few more laps in this one just to really be sure at the end of the Grand Prix. We'll see where Soriano comes out. He's going to be just ahead of Flores Fires, but I think in towards the corner, Flores Fires got that optimal line. He's going to be able to get ahead of Mirko Soriano. He's made up an immense margin in that pit stop period, and look at how far now Max Wiesel is ahead of this pack. I mean, there is a few cars in between, but that's about 11 seconds he is clear of Mirko Soriano when the gap was about 3 seconds when he came into the pit lane. So the undercut has worked out absolutely amazingly for Max Wiesel. It is just a matter of getting out of all these lap traffic cars, getting out of the way of Max Wiesel, letting him run that race, and then he can come home scot-free. He's going to be hoping that is the case, but I wonder, a lot of guys, they do like to go very long in races, and I'm thinking a few guys further back down definitely going to try and extend for softs.
Yeah, Flores and Mirko now, in order for Max to have that advantage to win, he needs the likes of Andre and Xander to hold them up. That's if they get close enough in time. By the time Flores catches up, he's 5 seconds back. They might have already pitted. If they haven't, this could be good for Max, because he really needs something happening now with these behind. He needs an issue for them, otherwise they're going to catch quick. Because remember, the gap was 9 seconds, it's now 6.
It does. The tyre drop-off, especially around a circuit like this, is definitely immense. So Max Wiesel, by the end of this Grand Prix, is going to be feeling those tyres a lot more than the likes of Jack West, Joseph Loke and Daniel Koya, who are yet to pit. They are the top 3 at the minute in this Grand Prix. We'll see where Mirko Soriano fades into this race ahead of Flores Fires. He makes the move in towards turn number 1, and he is ahead clearly of Legend Rosenberg, who he was fighting with in this Grand Prix. So the undercut has worked an absolute treat for the Ferrari car. Now he's up into what is a net P2 in this race, and I think with the undercut being so powerful, Jack West and Joseph Loke, they have to pit at the end of this lap as Duncan Hoffland loses a place to Matthew Alder. I think the tyre warm-up a little bit strong for Duncan Hoffland, so it's not really working out in his favour. It does take a little bit on this game. It's not as bad as F122 with the tyre warm-up, where you'd be so far off the pace as soon as you come out of the pit lane. That made the undercut really OP. But just by 1 lap. So I'm glad that has been ever so slightly fixed and tuned in this Grand Prix. Is what we see.
Yeah, the two AlphaTauris getting very close together then at turn 10. They did the same then at turn 1. I think Lukomsky broke a little bit too late and nearly hit the back of Camel. So it sent him a bit squirm on the exit. But these two AlphaTauris have been getting very close together, and I believe obviously both Polish drivers driving for the same team. I don't think they want to take each other out. That would not be a good look at all for them. And Lukomsky gets a penalty, which is not ideal. The first penalty of the session.
Well, Harvey Cohen did have a 3-second penalty.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I don't know what he was doing in that race, honestly. But yeah, unfortunately, Szymon Lukomsky, that is not going to be helping him whatsoever. We do have some more pit stops from Joseph Loke, Jack West, Jan Haladej and Daniel Koya. That is going to allow for Max Wiesel to get himself back up into the podium positions. And he's having a fantastic showing this evening. As Flores Fires, I think the big shout out has got to go from him, because he has found his way back into this fight for a podium position by undercutting a few laps on his rivals. He's now found himself in a good position. Someone's tried to call me or something on my phone. I'm not too sure what's gone on there, but yeah, at this point, Flores Fires, he's got to be he's the main man, I'd say.
Yep, and that's just Rock and Richard Jacobs fighting down into turn 4 there. Richard just nearly went off track, but he did just about keep all these 4 wheels onto track at the exit of turn 4, and that was just Joost Noordijk passing him, obviously Joost. On these older tyres, so you would have thought Richard would be able to defend that a little bit better than he did. But obviously now he's got a bit of better pace, especially coming out the corner, so he could make something work, possibly down in towards turn 10. Richard goes for the inside line. He locks up though. They make a bit of contact on the exit, but it's nothing too hard for us also. That is Mirko Soriano getting ahead of Andrej Tarbukin up for P5. And there's battles going on everywhere throughout the field. But now Tycho Hardy is closing to the back of Zelenkiewicz, but these will obviously drop all the way down the field once they pit. Along also with Xander Van Dijk and also Andrej Tarbukin. Andrej obviously finished 3rd in the last Grand Prix of Brazil, so it's a big shame for him to see him obviously finish. Well, it will be near enough last when he pits, so that's obviously not good for him at all. As far as Suarez gets himself ahead of Andrej Tarbukin, but he's lost that crucial DRS to the back of Mirko Soriano, which is not good as the top 2. Team and Tycho pit. So now Xander and Andre are the only two in the field left to pit. So the provisional top three is Max, Mirko, Floris, which would mean good for Mercedes, as they need that double podium to help them in the charge of the championship in the constructors, and also for their personal championship charges as well.
Yeah, no points, I believe, last time out in Brazil, as I do apologise for these sound issues going on. I'm not too sure why they are still an issue in the game. It's been so many years that these sound issues. It is EA. It's Codemasters at heart, really, and hopefully they get fixed eventually. And I think the gods might have heard me, because oh dear, wow, Andre Tarabukin getting the elbows out there with Legend Rosenberg off the exit at turn number 8. I mean, 2 lap old mediums against 19 lap hards. I'm not too sure why Andre Tarabukin fought that at all in this race. Maybe there's a little bit of beef between them, because it might have been in qualifying Legend Rosenberg blocking Andre Tarabukin, if you remember there. So, he might have just been a little bit annoyed as he actually lets Jack West go through. So I think that might be the case. A little bit of bad blood between them. I'm sure there's going to be some words exchanged after this race as Floris Vires looks to make a move on Xander Van Dyken.
Yeah, and also that was Joseph Float going from around the outside down at turn 12 to get through, and Camel couldn't make it work. As also still that's Floris. He's dropping down a couple of positions. I don't know what happened there. He's dropped behind Legend. And now we will get the DRS up to get back ahead of Xander. As Legend gets ahead of Xander, I think down to turn 1. Surely he'll get himself through. Obviously, Xander's on the 19 lap old hards. He'll pit to softs. Andre's dropped as he pits now. Floris trying to get ahead of these two. Are down into turn 1. It's going to be close. Into turn 1. They go near enough 3 wide. And I think Floris just about made it work. But Legend is coming back as they head through into turn 3.
Floris had to go right to the extremities of the right-hand side on entry into that corner just to avoid going into the back of Legend Rosenberg and in towards turn number 4. He almost darts towards the inside line. It's all contact further back behind. Jack West has gone into the rear of him. That might have been contact from Xander Van Dyken, potentially missing his braking point there, but Floris Vires has sort of been shoved out of the way by the Williams car, and now he is down into what is P5, and he gets around the outside. I think Jack West might have moved out of the way there as a little apology, so that's very good sportsmanship from Jack West there. But yeah, at this point in the Grand Prix, Max Wiesel still got a decent gap to Marco Soriano, but 4 lap fresher tyres, Nathan. By the end of this race, that gap is going to be huge.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to figure if Jack West has damage, because I know one of the cars come out of turn 4, and I did see a bit of front wing fly off, and I don't think it's on Jack's car, so I'm not sure if anyone had an issue with Floris. A massive slide coming through turn 11. That could have ended in heartbreak, and now Jack West going to go for a move around the outside into turn 13, backs off after hitting that curve. That's a horrible place to brake. And these two still going side by side, nearly a bit of contact, and it seems like a couple of them have a bit of lag as Floris completely lets off there, and it allows Joseph Loke through to put himself into P5. So Floris obviously wanted to get that DRS. It's now putting behind Joseph, so that's not working good at all, as that's Matthew Alder round, I think, in that third sector.
Yeah, that's down the straight. I'm not too sure what's happened there with Matthew Alder. There might have been some contact as Xander Van Dyken, he speeds in the pit lane. I think his day might be done this evening, as Jack West on the back of Joseph Loke, who has made that move stick in towards turn number 1. Legend Rosenberg has escaped up the road now. We've got still more caution flags in the way. I think that's for Matthew Alder going slowly at this point. But wow, it's been a bit of a hectic race. I'm not too sure where to look at this point, as I'm just keeping an eye on the gap between the two leaders, Nathan, because it's now 2.6 seconds. I don't think we're too far off of Mirko Soriano being within DRS range of Max Wiesel.
No, as soon as he gets into that DRS range, this could be very interesting. What does Max do? Does he let off and let Mirko through and keep that DRS, or does he try and stay ahead? Because this could work either way. This could be a very interesting end. And also Legend Rosenberg sitting 2 seconds back. At the moment, he's not going to put much of a statement at all to these top two. So, and then obviously you've got Joseph Look sitting 1 second back as well. That's someone going wide. That was Simon Lekomsky, I think, or Kamil Sastra going wide down at turn 10. So the main battles really are down from 4th in towards that top 10. Everyone else ahead, 1st, 2nd and 3rd, are kind of comfortably where they are, with Max being 2 seconds ahead of Mirko, and Mirko being 2 seconds ahead of Legend.
So I think we are looking at our podium at the minute, but the question is, what order is it going to be in by the end of this Grand Prix? We'll have to wait and see. We're on lap number 22 of 29. This race has sort of flown by at this point. I think Brazil felt a bit longer than this Grand Prix. The sound issue is still coming out. I really do apologise for this. There's nothing I can do. I really do hope that something can be changed in the game. And once again, as soon as I mention it, they sort of fix themselves as we look to the battle between Floris Vires and Szymon Lekomsky, who goes up the inside in towards turn number 1. Floris Vires going to hold his ground though around the outside. Never mind. That is an easy move there, and I'm wondering if it's Floris that has a bit of damage on his car, because he's been steadily dropping back in the pack although it could just be a case of his tyres beginning to drop off.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if we can get a good look on the front wing of the Mercedes, but I think it looks all fine. But yeah, you know, you do call about the tyres dropping off. You can see he's got the second oldest tyres in the field in that, all the way down towards 15th. Obviously, Max on the 10-lap hold, and then he's on the 8-lap hold. Everyone else on 4 to 7. So we will start to slowly drop off. You can see now Duncan Hoffman trying to get himself through, and it just seems on this game the tyre drop off means so much more compared to last game, as there Duncan nearly making a bit of contact into turn 9 and 10, a bit like what we saw with Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton down into there with the Aston Martin getting himself ahead.
I mean, same cars and everything. Wow, I mean, they've recreated that to a T, as Ben Jabaconi is now going to capitalise on the Mercedes, who is lacking pace at this point. He gets up the inside of Flores Vines and is now into P8. It's been a solid day for Ben Jabaconi. He's kept his nose clean. He's found himself in a decent points-paying position. He's started 9th and he's now up into 8th. As at this point now, I'm noticing at the front of the order, Mirko Soriano, he's edging closer to that 1 second winner that he needs to get DRS on Max Wiesel. Looking at the battery, Max Wiesel 8%, Mirko Soriano, he's doing okay at this point on 32, and you can see he's just teeing it ever so slightly. He's feathering that ERS to just close within that 1 second window, and now Nathan, he has got that gap down, and he is going to have DRS in towards turn number 4.
No, normally I'd say, right, you're on the, you know, you're sitting behind with the DRS, you'd want to sit behind. But I think for Mirko, because of how much quicker he is, maybe Mirko was just fly through on Max down maybe into turn 1, and then just try and pull that 1 second gap. I really can't tell what the right strategy is, because if he's right behind Max, if he gets caught up like he's now, there's gaps about 4 tenths. If they're not careful, Legend will close up. So maybe for Mirko, the key thing to do is just get himself ahead of Max. If he gets himself ahead and pulls that 1 second gap, unless he makes a mistake, that win is pretty much secured, which would make it a double win for Mirko Soriano. So at the moment, unless the commentator's curse happens, this is looking perfect for Mirko to take himself, 32 points in the first 2 races, which is maximum apart from the fastest lap.
Yeah, Mirko Soriano, he's done a fantastic job so far this season. He's chasing his second win. Max Wiesel hunting for his first points this season. The gap of the tyre gap of 4 laps between these guys is definitely going to mean a lot. And Legend Rosenberg is also closing to this fight. So, yeah, Max Wiesel really has been caught by the pack. It's just not going to go his way. He's got to do his best to keep with all these leaders and try find his way onto a podium at the end of the race. But off the exit of turn number 15 for the 24th time in this race, we'll ride on board with Mirko Soriano. Max Wiesel going to defend ever so slightly in towards turn number 1. Will Soriano go for the move this time by? He looks towards the outside. Max Wiesel defending, but there is no use. Soriano has got that move. He is now into the lead of the race at the beginning of lap number 25, and it is all about now, Nathan, damage limitation for Max Wiesel.
Yes, definitely. So we also have Ben Sabaconi getting ahead of Duncan Hoffland, Daniel getting ahead of Camille, Tycho getting ahead of the team. We're all down at turn 1. This is where all the action is happening. There's also Richard Jacobs looking to get himself through on Camille Saharu as well, who's had a bit of a chaotic race, hasn't he, Camille? Been involved in a lot of incidents which he doesn't want, and Rishon there tries to go for the move, but Camille shuts the door. Camille goes deep, though. That allows Rishon to get a better exit out turn 4. They go side by side in towards turn 6 and 7. Does Rishon get himself through? A bit of wheel-to-wheel contact between the two now, but I think Rishon just about gets himself ahead and puts himself into the top 10, in towards the top 11, and also just a request from Yon at the ERS. Oh, what's happened?
Something's happened off the exit. I was about to say a round of applause to Rishan and Camille for going side by side in that second sector. They didn't make contact off of turn number 8, so something's gone wrong there, and they're both losing time.
Yeah, sorry for cutting you off there. I thought that battle ended, but obviously not between those two. But looking back at the top, sorry. The ERS, we've got 40% for Mirko, 8% for Max, 11% for Legend, 19% for Joseph, and then 16% for Jack West. But I think, to be fair, Dan, Rishon and Camille, they've been battling quite a lot throughout this race. It was originally Rishon and Ben, so now it's Rishon and Camille.
Camel's just been all over the shop in this race. He's been fighting in the top 5, you know, was maybe on for a podium at some point. Now he's outside the points paying positions as Legend Rosenberg on the back of Max Wiesel in towards turn number 1. Oh, little bit of contact between the pair of them. Max Wiesel, very late defensive move, trying to hold it on the McLaren. He can't quite, and unfortunately he's going to be now down into P3 at the mercy of Joseph Loke. Off the exit of turn number 3, they go in towards turn number 4. Will Loke try and send up the inside because it's very hard to make a move in towards the second sector, and he does exactly that. He goes up the inside at turn number 4, the heavy braking zone. He wouldn't have been able to get by in this second sector, and Joseph Loke, very late dive, but he's made it stick and he's made it clean.
Yeah, again, and Andre Tarabikine retired from the session in the pit lane. Joost Noordijk also retired in the pit lane. And I'm sure Matthew Alder at this point might as well follow suit, as Jan Houder is sitting in the back of the field technically in 15th place. I think he finished in the top 7 last week, so not good for him at all being out the points. But also, Rishan and Camel got very close yet again down at turn 1, and these two, this battle is not over. They both want to get themselves ahead because they both want to prove they're better than the other.
It's sort of anything you can do, I can do better, and they've been scrapping out for multiple laps at this point in the race, but really, they're just fighting for pennies at this point. They're not even fighting for any points. They're outside the top 10 as Jack West goes up the inside of Max Wiesel, who really now just has to do his best to keep with this train, because maybe in the next few laps, Ben Zabakonyi is going to be knocking on his door. He'll bring along Duncan Hoffland, Simon Lukomsky, and it really is unfortunate that this strategy has not worked out for Max Wiesel. It did look good on paper, and I think if he pitted, maybe if he started on the mediums and went to the hards at the end of the race, it could have worked out a lot better, but unfortunately that is just not the case, as now in towards turn 1 they go. Legend Rosenberg getting very close to the rear of Mirko Soriano. This race, Nathan, is not over.
Yeah, well, I thought at one point Mirko would have this done, but Legends caught back up. This could be an interesting battle, because you've also got Joseph Log and Jack West all together now, as Jan Houder retires in the pit lane. But now this brings it to Mirko, Legend, Jack, and Joseph and Jack, who are all on 8, 9, 10 lap old medium, so very close in terms of tyre age. So any of these could be fighting for the podium, and any of them could take that win, which would be great to end it off tonight.
I'm scratching my head at the minute. I'm just wondering who is going to take the win of this Grand Prix, as the sound still continues to be awful. I can't ride on board with these guys whatsoever. I need someone watching to make a complaint to EA. I don't know how to do it, but this needs to be fixed, because how fundamental is that to, have cars sound normal in an online lobby, as I can hear the crackling in my earphones as well. I'll try and stop complaining about it. Once again, I just can't apologize. I can only apologize for what we're seeing at the minute. On lap number 27 of 29, we are coming up towards 2 to go. Soriano still leading the way from Rosenberg and Joseph Loke at the minute. Just looking back once again at the ERS situations, Mirko Soriano almost got half his battery stored up. Legend Rosenberg on 22%, Joseph Loke on 30%. So at the minute, Nathan, I think just ERS-wise, Soriano, he's in the better position.
He's definitely, as we now head down into turn 1 again, but look at this, the battery, I don't think it will make all the difference, because look at this DRS for Legend, nearly pointing Mirko into turn 1. But yeah, I think the battery's good. Also, Jack West there at the inside of Joseph Hope. That came out nowhere, and these could make contacts as we come through turn 3. Jack gets sent off the track, goes back on there. This could allow Max Wiesel to close in. But as you were saying, Dan, yeah, this ERS advantage for Mirko, I think it'll help. But that DRS looks so powerful then to turn 1.
Yeah, it's such a long run in towards that first corner. I'm getting calls to lower the audio quality. I think, Nathan, should I risk it and go for it now?
Well, it's up to you, but if it goes wrong, it's on you.
Okay, I'll do it real quick here.
Well, as we head down in towards turns 10, that's also Tycho Hardy with a penalty, and also I think, oh no, Camel had a penalty earlier, so yeah, Tycho Hardy there, just receiving a 3-second time penalty. We're still on that penultimate lap.
Boom.
Get ready for the final lap between the top 4 and top 5 technically, because Max is right in with them.
I did it perfectly there. I've missed nothing.
Did it work?
Yeah, it sounds perfect now. I don't know why I have to lower the audio quality to make it sound better, but there it is. We've got it back for this final lap, Nathan.
Yes, we're now down in towards turn 14 and 15. Dan, who do you think will take it?
Oh, I do not know at this point. I think Mirko Soriano, with that ERS advantage, he's going to get it. But we'll see what happens as they enter the final lap of this race. It is all coming down to this. And surely the last opportunity going to be in towards turn number 4. We'll wait and see what happens between these two as now they approach turn number 1 for the final time in this race. Legend Rosenberg, he's not waiting around. He goes for the move up the inside in towards turn number 1. Will Soriano have that DRS in towards turn number 4? We'll have to wait and see. Have a look at the ERS. Once again, we can see Legend is flashing. Mirko Soriano with the DRS and with a little bit more battery in the tank, he can potentially take the win of this Grand Prix. But in towards turn number 4, Nathan, he's not gone for the move. Legend Rosenberg leads.
Yeah, as we come down now through into this bit of a slalom section of the chicane, it is still Legend ahead, but still Mirko gaining on him along with Josie Float. They've both got more battery, 29% for Mirko and then about 32% for Josie. So this could get very interesting down into turn 11. Legend is he's literally on the throttle as early as he can, just trying to pull away from the Ferraris. You head down into turns 10 and 11, and still this could be interesting. We have the DRS now and the ERS for Mirko. He's going to look to try and take it into turn 11. Can he get himself through now as he head down? I just don't think it's enough, is it?
I'm not too sure, as now off the exit of turn number 11, Suriano, he will have an opportunity, potentially in towards turn number 14. He can see Legend is vulnerable. He's blinking. He's got no ERS in the back of that McLaren. Off the exit of turn number 13. Is he going to dump it all now? You bet he will. Legend Rosenberg running deep off the exit of turn number 13. Here he goes then. Suriano looking to the inside. Contact between them. Oh dear, he's got into the back of him. Off the exit of the corner. Who's going to win here?
Josie Float now coming to the line. He's got ahead of Mirko Soriano. Can he get himself ahead of Legend Rosenberg to the line? And Legend Rosenberg just about takes it. And that's less than 2/10 between the top three. What a finish!
Oh my word, Legend Rosenberg. I mean, I'm almost lost for words at this point. And a fantastic finish, an emphatic ending to this race. Legend Rosenberg gonna take victory there. Joseph Loke, I mean, he saw his opportunity when he saw Mirko Soriano go into the back of Rosenberg into the braking zone. Soriano, he's not going to be happy with that late defense, and I think, yeah, that is a key thing to note. I think Legend Rosenberg was very late with that move to the inside, but you know what? I think it was fair. I'm not too sure. I'm going to have to watch that one back, but we're going to take it at face value, Nathan. Legend Rosenberg wins. Joseph Loke in second. Mirko Soriano potentially falling at the final hurdle.
Yeah. Well, all I'm going to say is Josie Floke and Legend Rosenberg was not the pixel podium for me at all. Mirko Soriano was, so I thought he would have took the win, but I'm not fun on that. But I think I'm not going to say whether I think Legend was in the right or the wrong, because I know if he is in the right or the wrong, I will get slated to hell on Twitter and Discord. So I'm going to keep my opinion to myself. But this will possibly go. Well, I think Mirko will definitely send it to Steward's room just to see if he can get himself a penalty for Legend. But big shame for Mirko. Great for Legend, and also great for Josie Floke as well.
You know what? I'll tell you what, Nathan. We'll steer clear of giving our opinions on this, and we'll talk about the facts. We saw Legend Rosenberg track extend off the exit at turn number 13. Did that give him a little bit more speed off the exit through there? I think we'll need to see his POV for that one there. And then it was a very late move, and Suriano's gone into the back of him. That is a tough one to call, and I think the Stewards are definitely going to have a look at it, regardless of, I think, if it gets reported. But I would definitely agree with you there in saying that Mirko Soriano, he's going to report that one just to see what he can get out of it.
Yeah, but yes, again, a great finale at the end. And I think in Brazil, I think the top two finished with about 40 thousandths apart. And today, 70 thousandths. The top two, yet again, in the second race in a row, finishing together less than a tenth of a second.
Yeah, and I mean, the top three, not less than a tenth and a half separating the top three. That is almost unheard of. I've never actually seen a closer finish than that. We'll run through the final finishings before any stewards inquiries, and I think definitely this is going to be a bit of a controversial one. I think stewards definitely going to be very busy once again this evening. But Legend Rosenberg, for the time being, he wins this race ahead of Joseph Loke, and then Mirko Soriano in P3, Jack West in 4th, 5th for Max Wiesel after his disappointing strategy. Duncan Hoffland does very well to climb up from 13th, didn't comment on it. Joseph Loke going from 11th into 2nd in this Grand Prix. He is by far the driver of the day. Ben Jabakonyi in P7, 8th for Daniel Koya. Floris Vyers dropping down into 9th. Timur Zelenkovic in 10th, 11th for Rishan Jacobs. Shimon Lukomsky in 12th, Tiger Hardy in 13th, 14th Kamil Stakura, he lost in that rivalry with Rishan Jacobs. Matthew Alder in 15th, and then your retirements for today: Jan Halliday, Joost Noordijk, André Terbuchen, Xander Van Dyken and Harvey Cohen to finish us off here in Bahrain. That was a fantastic race, drama throughout the entirety of it, and it has ended up with Legend Rosenberg for the time being winning this race.
Yeah, I'm just looking in the Discord chat. Yeah, people aren't happy. I'll just put it that way. I think putting interviews in was quite a risky shot. No one had a go at me yet. I'm surprised I don't have my head bitten off for asking that. But yeah, just best to steer clear from that chat to anyone.
I'll have a little look in it. I'm just, yeah, Mirko's not happy with that one there. But just thinking about that, actually, if Legend does get a penalty, Mirko Soriano's still not winning this race, because Joseph Loke's done nothing. From my understanding, he's done nothing wrong in this race, and so Legend will get a penalty, but Soriano's not going to be gifted that win, because you can't change the result of that just based on hypotheticals that, oh, I would have got him, so I won this race. That's not how it works, unfortunately. And Joseph Loke, if that penalty comes, is going to be taking victory, but for the time being, we'll call it Legend Rosenberg taking victory. But if we do get an interview from him, we're definitely going to have to talk about it.
Well, if there is a penalty, that would give Josie Float the win, 11th to first, and actually we have Josie Float in the writing room.
I'll bring us over to the interview room screen, and then we'll talk to Joseph Loke. Joseph, can you hear me?
I very much can.
Okay, so let's talk about your qualifying P11 on the grid. What went wrong there?
Well, I had 70 brake bias for turn one, so
Oh.
it wasn't exactly ideal. No, it was to be honest, the rest of my lap was quite decent. It had a mistake at the end of sector 2. But take away those mistakes and I'd have been on pole. So it was just a bit disappointing that obviously I just kind of forgot to change my bias. But one of those. Obviously we fought back through in the race, and it was I think I made a bit of redemption for qualifying.
Yeah, it was a very scrappy race throughout the entirety of it, and I think we brought up on stream a message you sent in the Discord, and just a quick one for everyone. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong thing, but it's if someone's side by side with you, they don't expect to live, and you didn't kill anyone in this race, but it was definitely a bit of a scrappy one, wasn't it?
Well, obviously with this game, how it is with the DRS, it's very hard to overtake. So therefore, I was just trying my best to get through the pack as quick as I could, especially on the same tyres as everyone else. But I think I managed it quite well. Obviously, the message I sent in the Discord was a bit of a, just a joke to everyone. Obviously, I don't mean that, but no, I think I definitely lived up to the task of that, and I think the race went quite well.
And of course, coming onto the final lap of the Grand Prix, you were on track for a P3 finish, but then, of course, it all kicked off in that turn at number 14-15 complex. From your point of view, what happened there?
Well, I was quite low ERS the whole race, so I was really struggling. Like, I started the last lap with 30%, and I hadn't burnt for 5-6 laps. So I didn't really want to try and attack because I knew that I'd end up, defending towards the end of the lap. So, I just sat in third, made sure that Jack could get close, and just to be honest, hoped that them two came together, which they did, but I don't think they came together enough for me to really get the win. But I think I did the right things at the right times. The strategy was pretty good, staying out quite long. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, and yeah, I think I can be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a really well-worked race from yourself. You got my personal driver of the day. And, of course, at the minute, you can see in the Discord, there's a lot of drama going on with Legend and Mirko. And maybe if that goes to the stewards, you could be taking victory in this race. So, fingers crossed for your sake there. But we'll let you get away and enjoy that P2. But, yeah, really well done.
Thank you very much.
And sorry, I forgot to actually, just before I let you go, Nathan, have you got anything to add there?
No, not really. You summed it up perfectly. But yeah, well done, Joseph. Great race.
Thank you very much. Thanks you two for commentating and everything.
No probs.
See you in a bit.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Joseph Loke. And I think that allows us to bring in Legend Rosenberger, man, he's definitely had a very tough race this evening, but it's worked out in his favour. Legend, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. So we'll talk about qualifying first. You started on P2, so on the front row. It was a very well worked qualifying from you. How'd that lap go for you?
The lap was pretty solid, I guess. Still some mistakes in turn 1. I've really been struggling there a lot in practice. But overall, a decent lap, and P2, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw a range of strategies, even though everyone started on the hards in this race. Coming into this one, what were you thinking sort of with the tyres today?
We were not quite sure, myself and my engineers, because we didn't really practice the race. So we thought about starting on a soft or the hard, and we chose the hard in the end. And I think it was slightly the better strategy if you looked to Max.
Yeah, and it worked out in your favour. Max Wiesel, he really did struggle with the tyres late in that race, and you found yourself in a potential race-winning position as you led on that final lap. And of course, we saw a little bit of controversy between yourself and Mirko in that final corner. Is there anything you want to comment on that?
Not too much to comment right now because I need to review it. But
yeah,
from what I can see right now or remember, I think it was fine. Maybe it was a little bit on the edge, but I think it was fine. It's not like I crashed him out or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, he still finds himself on the podium. But we're not going to speculate here at the minute. We'll let the stewards decide with that. So for the time being, you are our race winner. How does it feel to take your first victory this season?
Feels good. It's a better start than last season on the old game with PC F2 as well. Did win one race last season and now again. So I hope we can continue this form into the rest of the season and fight for a good position. And yeah, ideally for the championship. But I think that will be hard. But I will give it my best.
Yeah, well, you're well on track to do so for the time being. But that's all from me. Nathan, anything you'd like to add?
Just one thing is, obviously, you took this victory today. Do you think we can see you again on the top step of the podium in the next race or the race after?
I think so, but I think I've been reported for a quali block, so I don't know if I can win next race from the back. But I think future races for sure. Why not?
Yeah, that's all from me as well. So, Legend, thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you next week.
Thank you.
So that brings us to
And
the end. Oh, sorry.
We have one more person.
Oh, we've got Mirko Soriano and Nathan. I'll drag him in, and I'll let you talk to Mirko here.
So, good evening, Mirko. Can you hear us?
Yeah, yes.
So, we'll talk about qualifying first. Yet again, not the most ideal quali. I think you qualified 6th in Brazil. Today it was 5th. So, is there anything from qualifying you can take away that you could have probably improved on, or do you think that was just the best pace you could have had?
Yeah, I'm not the best in quali. You can see so. And also in other championship, like also last year, I was better in the racecraft, and all the stuff instead of quali. And this year seems like it's the same. So maybe I can be like up there, but not like getting pole position. Like I won F1 last year at the start with one pole position only, and I won like 5 races or 4. So yeah. I'll put everything in the race, like always.
Yeah, and you did a great job in the race, obviously getting yourself up to P2. It was P1. And also on the phone there's a bit of controversy, it seems. There was comments in the chat, in YouTube and in Discord, but is there anything you'd like to comment on that final lap?
Like maybe in 1 hour, then I'll be like cooler. Yeah, I mean, stewards will have a look at it.
Yeah, fair. So obviously, yet again, double podium, P1 and P3 in Brazil, and obviously today P3 in Bahrain. What are your expectations for next week? I don't actually know where we're at. I think it's Britain, isn't it?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Well, do you think wherever we are next week you can take a podium or a win?
Yeah, I'll try. I mean, I focus because I focus like 80% of my time in quali.
Yeah.
So like, imagine if I spend maybe 50% of the time in the race, I'll be like even faster in the race. But as soon as I have to improve on quali, I have to do that. So yeah, I mean, strategy is important, all the stuff. If you start P6, P5, I show that you can win as well. So even, I mean, Silverstone is also like easy for overtakes if we go into Silverstone. So even if you start, I don't know, like maybe P8, I don't know, you can still try to win with a good strategy and great race pace. Yeah, I mean, the goal for every race is to win, of course. But as soon as the championship will go on, I'll try to be like smarter.
Well, that's all from me anyway, Mirko. Dan, anything for you to add?
Yeah, nothing from me, Mirko, but yeah, really well done this evening, and I'm really hoping that it is Britain we are heading to next week. I really hope that we can hear from you once again.
Yeah, I hope so.
Absolutely. So we'll let you get off and enjoy that result, but yeah, really well done, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from the stewards very soon about whatever goes on with that situation. Yeah. But yeah, for the time being, well done on P3.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you as well for the comps.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Mirko Soriano. I will bring us back over then, Nathan. to the intermission scene, and wow, that brings us to the end of what was a very exciting Bahrain Grand Prix, and it normally isn't the most exciting race because it does typically tend to be just a DRS train, and 4 parts of that race it was. But you know what, today, very fun.
Yeah, again, another great race, and I think I've noticed on this game, especially compared to 22, the racing has always been a lot better. Sometimes a bit dirty, but I think for our point of view, it's entertainment, which is obviously what we want and what all the viewers want. Drivers, not so much, but yeah, I think in general the battling and the race strategy as well, obviously making a big influence on the races as well. I think it's a great way to start off F1 23, and I think if we can keep seeing more of these battles, obviously in multiple different leagues, it's not just here, it's everywhere. There's always great races. I think this is looking to be one of the best. I think for a long while.
Yeah, I think it is a combination of on the last game people just didn't care to put in the time when it was sort of March, February time. There was no need to really practice, but and on the new game, it is generally just more fun to drive. I mean, the handling model last game was just atrocious. I put in virtually no hours driving. I had about 100 something by the end of it, and I think it was all just commentating. So, I really didn't enjoy the last game. And despite how much I talked bad about it and, critique all the glitches and bugs, I do really enjoy.
Have we lost Dan?
I'm here. Hello.
Hello, yeah, you just disappeared. You froze on my screen.
Oh dear, I'm sorry. It's been.
You're back.
Yeah, there we. I think I had some issues on OBS there because it's just come up with 152 dropped frames.
Oh.
But luckily, it's still 0.0 for this 0.0% for the entire stream. So one minor blip there. We'll ignore that. But I don't know how much I got to in the end there.
Yeah, well, you said about... Oh, actually, I don't remember myself. You said something about the game being a lot better than last game. But yeah.
It's a good game. I like it.
It is. It is, yeah. The issues with the equalness is there, but I think it gets sorted. It's fine. The fuel, I think, from this race, from what I saw, it didn't make much of a difference, to be fair. You didn't see anyone going off miles ahead because of fuel, and you didn't see many people drop back because of fuel either, I don't think so. Actually, no. Let me get that right. I think Yana said something like it's fixed in online mode, but it's not in single player.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Why they got different codes for different modes, I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, EA's just taken up the game. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now, but I have no idea what's going on there at... in the headquarters for F1 22, but I think we'll stop complaining about the game. We'll talk about next week, which is Silverstone, and that, Nathan, always brings up an exciting one.
Yes, so it's one of my favourite races. I think it is in every calendar. It's a race we always see. It always provides great racing. So I think yet again, I think we're going to have another in a row, third really exciting Grand Prix, and obviously with this field as well being so close together, it makes it even better.
Absolutely. We don't really get much closer than what we had just now, where we had three drivers separated by less than 0.2 of a second. It was a tenth and a half, just about, that they were separated by the end of the Grand Prix. So incredibly close margins throughout the entirety of qualifying and in the race, and it just made for an exciting show. And Silverstone is a circuit that drivers just tend to really enjoy or really don't like at all. I'm in the field that I really do love that track. It's one of my favourite to drive. It's so flowing. There's plenty of opportunities to battle, and I think it's going to make for a brilliant Grand Prix.
Definitely, and until then, there's nothing else left for me to say. Dan, I don't know if you've got anything else left before we go.
No, nothing from me. I think that is all we really have for this stream. So I'll end us off. Thank you everyone for tuning in this evening. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the PSGL YouTube channel. It's the big red button beneath the stream. And if you haven't already, please follow us on Twitter. For it is at PremierSimGL, and it's same at for Instagram. And if you want to keep up to date with all the PSGL news, you can join our Discord. The link is in the description. Thank you to our brilliant sponsors at GT Omega for sponsoring PSGL. They are a fantastic brand. The link should be in the description for their website if you want to get a chair like myself and Nathan. But from us, that is all we have for this evening. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We will see you next week, same time, same place for Silverstone. But for now, thank you and good night.
Good night.
through on the left-hand side. Pumps the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.
Cocaine to my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine to my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine to my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though.